All right, let's say we have a data set and we're looking to find the first quartile and third quartile. Remember, the quartiles are the values, the numbers where we're splitting our data set into quarters, right, into fourths essentially. So the first quartile would be right the lowest quarter of the numbers, where that cutoff is. So we could do this by hand, and with a data set this size, it's not too bad. But let's see how we might do it in our calculator, especially in the event we had a larger data set. Also remember that doing this in the calculator a lot of times can remove some of the potential errors that we make when we're doing this by hand. So the first thing is enter this data set into a list. And I've already done that here. There's a separate video to show you how to do that, but I'll just check that I put it into list 1, so it's second 1. Enter. You can see the beginning of that list. I can scroll to the right to make sure that I've got all the numbers I need. The other thing I can do is go to Stat and hit Edit, and then scroll down this list. We should have everything we need there. But we're going to go to Stat, to the right one, to one variable stats. We're going to choose List 1. That's where I'd put this data. And then the frequency list, for this, if we just have a single data set, we want to clear that out. So we can leave that blank. So List 1 for one variable stats. And if you have a TI83 or an 84 that doesn't bring you to this screen, you just have to select L1 by hitting second and then the 1 button. That'll give you List 1. Okay, let's calculate this. So we have our one variable stats, a good place to find things like the mean and standard deviation. But if you scroll down, with the down arrow, you will see Q1, that's the first quartile, was 65. So here we've got 65. Q3 is just a little bit below that. So Q3 we've got 88. I'm just putting those in red so they're a little bit more clear. Notice that when we look for a 5-number summary, this shows up again. These are the components that you can use to create a box and whisker plot, or sometimes just called a box plot. But these are the 5 numbers that we want for our 5-number summary. And if you look in the one variable stats, actually those 5 are given in order. It's almost like they did that on purpose. So Q1 we can steal from part A. Q3 we can steal from part B, right? Even though they're in our one variable stats, and then we can go back, fill in the minimum. So the minimum for our data set is 56. That one's fairly obvious because the data set's ordered. Same thing with the maximum. We can just look at our data set and say, oh, it's 94, but this should tell us that. And then the median, we can just steal from our one variable stats. It's 81.5. And notice that this is not a number in our data set. So what that means is if we cut the data in half, that must have been between two numbers. And sure enough, it looks like the two numbers that would have gone between are 79 and 84. So that's how you find your first quartile and third quartile, and then also just your entire 5-number summary.